Coach Helen for YouFit Studio. Talking about why taking a break is good for you. Now let me just clarify what taking a break actually means firstly. So taking a break, when I say taking a break, I'm not saying like go away for a long weekend, although also applicable, I guess. And when I say take a break, what I'm talking about is taking some time to take a, let's call it a pit stop. We could call it a break or a pit stop from the never ending, it can feel like, hey Jess, never ending. Why is technology failing me here? Keep poking stuff and nothing happens. Don't pass that around anywhere. We're taking a pit stop from the never ending, it can feel like, journey of losing weight or becoming healthier. And let me clarify what I mean by taking a break or a pit stop. So when I discuss this with a client, which is actually quite frequently actually, and some clients find that fascinating, as in I'm not sure why my coach should be telling me to take a break from losing weight. And there's a very good reason actually, because what I'll say to clients is actually you've worked really hard for the last 4 or 5 weeks and you've come down in weight each week. Why not spend some time reflecting on how well you've done, and also perhaps just give yourself a little bit of time to recuperate and recharge your batteries before we're ready to go again for the 4 to 5 weeks. And the reason why I do that is generally because for the comments I made earlier on, actually already in the live, is that for a lot of people it can feel like a never-ending uphill battle, as in, say you're starting in a particularly it's two ways of looking at it really. Either you start from a particularly unhealthy position in terms of your size or weight, and that's actually then it is a long journey and requires some pit stops or rests along the way, or actually you're continuously challenged along your journey, may lose some weight, gain some, lose some weight, gain some, and either aspect actually results in what can feel like an especially emotionally draining position, as in actually physically you might be right, actually energy levels might be okay, mentally though it's a different ball game. Like, I'm sure if anybody's watching this or listening to this, you will know yourself, if you've been really consistently at something for a long time, which a lot of our clients have been for maybe 2 to 3 years, whatever reason, right, it's impossible. I'm going to use the word impossible because it's impossible, and I would never ask a client as a coach to continuously be working hard every single day of the year for 2 to 3 years and permanently applying pressure as a coach to a client to continue on that path, because eventually the client is going to buckle under that pressure. And also just the emotional draining aspect of it is what results in it feeling like this is a never ending circle of always trying to drive something down. And it's actually again, it goes back to tortoise and the hare a little bit. If you haven't watched or listened to that one, it's definitely worth your while, because the health and fitness journey for me, I used the analogy in that live that it is like tortoise and the hare. The tortoise always wins out, because actually the tortoise takes his or her time. Let's not get gender specific. However, the tortoise takes time and still wins out. And actually for me, if you know that this is going to be a long-term journey, right, for your health and to achieve the overall package, then there is no sense to continuously be driving down. So taking a break is actually, if you've done it with a strategy in place with a coach, is actually one of the most beneficial things, I think personally, you can ever do when it comes to losing weight. Now let's get clear. The reason why I haven't actually defined it specifically, because the strategy is different for each person, by the way. However, I will say this, taking a break for some people may mean, I did a cheat day as well, a cheat day live or podcast, which is similar. For some people, interpretation of taking a break is taking a break, right? So interpretation for some people is, I am literally at this point going to take a break from all my aspects of health, and I'm literally going to town. And actually previously, before working with maybe a coach at YouFit, that might be something that actually as a short term, not a strategy at all, as a short term approach, you may have done this as well yourself, I know I certainly have done, is taking a break means actually that, like, you're driving, getting towards I don't know, let's just say you're going to a relative's wedding, get in the dress, and then all hell breaks loose afterwards because you're actually taking a break from it altogether. You've worked really, really, really hard, worked hard for ages, get to the event, and then just everything goes out the window because actually you're taking a break, right? You're taking a break from it, and what it actually means is you're just going into a vicious circle. So when I'm talking about this now, I'm talking about, hey Pooja, I'm talking about something that actually has a strategy in place. Now, it is I'm calling it a strategy because it is pre-discussed, it is openly discussed. It's an agreement between the coach and the client of a agreed period of time before it happens, right? Which is another thing that's different. If you're taking a break previously, I think all of us probably know that taking a break is open-ended, right? It's just whenever I feel like coming back. It's usually not necessarily always planned for, it just kind of happens. The outcome is very varied. There's no set of parameters around it. It's just, it is what it is. Saying in this particular circumstances, that's what happens though. If a client hasn't agreed a strategy with somebody that's keeping them accountable to that, then that's what that becomes. And that's really important if you are somebody who is at that point in their journey, you're thinking, actually, maybe what Helen's saying makes sense. Maybe I do actually need to take a break from it. Because what I want to do with the client and the client experience is firstly to understand the tortoise and the hare analogy, that it's not a constant sprint, because that is exhausting emotionally and physically, and also learn to trust themselves that they can actually step away from their full capacity of training. They can step away from doing the food diary of some description for a few days. They can actually trust that their behaviours are solidified enough with the accountability put in place with the coach that they can actually still stabilise and remain the same or within a barrier of their weight before they start, and come out smiling and ready and restored. I love that word when I was thinking about this, that often taking a break for me, or allowing a client to step away psychologically for a period of time, is actually restoring them psychologically as well. Because if you consider, if you are somebody who has been, and it always says trying to lose weight, which is like it's an attempt. If you've been losing weight or on a training plan for an extended period of time of more than 6 months, you will know what I mean if you've been consistent all the way through, when you'll feel like this is time for me to take a break, right? So again, first part of the strategy, again, this is why it is unique. I will always, if you're thinking about this, by the way, and you're one of our clients, then please talk to your coach about it, or message me direct if you want some advice. It's a pre-agreed time. Now that period of time, what's the most I've had? I've had a month as a period of time where somebody wants to restore or take a break. I've equally had, if you go to other end of scale, a week or 5 days. Whatever it is, it's a period of time which a client at that point feels emotionally is adequate enough for them to readdress why they're doing something, why they're on the journey, still have that discussion with myself as their coach, and then decide the next steps. So come back refreshed and ready and restored to keep going. Because if it is an uphill, if it feels like it's an uphill battle, we need to bring down the pressure of the hill. Rather than keep making it a sharp incline, we need to actually kind of flatten it out a little bit so actually it becomes more manageable. And one of the best things we can do is say, let's actually just give you a little bit more juice behind it, a little bit more energy psychologically, and then get ready to go. And that's the important thing about this, right? And this is why it's important to take these during your journey. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I reiterate it. So first thing is an agreed amount of time. So it's not like the open-ended post-wedding or post-Christmas madness, whatever it is. It's like no end in sight. Secondly, one of the best things that a client can, I think, ever learn is how to maintain their weight while they're taking some time away from their original goal. And why? Because at some point they're going to get there, and they're going to want to learn how to do that and maintain. And actually, and I know Sam and I talk about this a lot, and we've always agreed on this, and personally for myself, I experienced this. To learn how to maintain is far harder than to learn how to lose weight. Even as hard as losing weight can be, and keeping it off, actually maintaining weight is extremely difficult, again, for more psychological reasons than anything else. So if that is the case, and a client, or if you're in a point in your journey, hi Dana, by the way, I'm not ignoring you, and you're on a journey of, I don't know, let's just say like 2-3 years, and you've never maintained during that 2-3 years, there is so often the sense of a loss of direction when an individual gets there, because they don't know how to then take a step back and maintain their weight through the skills that they have learned. So if I have a client that is on a journey that is going to take a long amount of time, as we know, tortoise and hare, if I'm looking after a tortoise, I don't really call them multiple tortoises. If I'm looking after someone who's doing a slow journey, it's going to take some time. I'm probably going to want to take them out of that pressure situation at least 2-3 times a year, depending on the individual, because I don't want them to get to the weight and have no idea what to do when they get there to maintain or look after it, or understand what they're doing it for. And it's such a recurring thing, and it's something that we don't probably talk about very often, and yet it has some of the highest value you can ever give yourself. Because the risk, and sure you appreciate the risk, is that you literally get exhausted. So let's look at it another way. If I'm somebody that is always trying to drive down my weight and always getting to the point where I'm feeling emotionally drained, there is only, in my experience so far, in my personal experience, and this is my personal opinion, there's usually only one outcome, and that is a rebound of some description, where somebody will kind of, a bit like the not having an agreed amount of time where somebody takes a break, somebody will enforce their own break. As in, let's use a scenario where, I don't know, it's been 9 months, client has been losing every other week for 9 months, training 4 times a week, just having a couple of treats a week, maybe a bit more, nothing major, had a birthday, really made some decisions, gets to the point where psychologically getting quite drained, and then a big event comes up. That client, and I say a big event, like somebody else's birthday or their birthday or anniversary of some description, is more likely than not that client is going to go all out on that event and enforce and unconsciously, right, and that's the key point, unconsciously take their own break. So this is a very clear thing when I'm talking about this, between why taking a break, and it's the two sides of it, right? That's why sometimes I've explained what I mean when I say this, because people take breaks all the time from losing weight. They take them unconsciously, right? So just think about that for a minute. So people take breaks unconsciously, and that's a very different thing. And when they take breaks, or we take breaks unconsciously from driving towards our goals, what eventually happens is frustration. Because as people, like, I don't understand why I'm not losing weight, but actually the unconscious breaks are happening more and more and more. Whereas if you're consciously deciding to deploy a tactic with the support of your coach and the accountability side of it, to say, right, I'm taking, say for example, 7 days, I'm taking 7 days where I'm training only twice this week, and I'm going out the weekend, and then we'll touch base during the week, and then next Monday I want to be within a pound of where I am right now. I'm not looking to lose weight this week, I'm just looking to stay the same weight. That is a conscious, fully agreed out strategy where the client is learning how to balance a particularly stressful time in their life, perhaps even, or just to actually take some time, as I said earlier, to reboot or restore their energy. That's a very different situation before as going, like, I'm taking an unconscious break and going on a blowout. So again, point I'm going to make is, if you're listening to this and going, God, that feels like me, this year has been just constantly trying to do this, constantly trying to do that, have a conversation with your coach and agree a strategy if you need it. If you need it, where you are choosing to consciously take a break with accountability. If you do it without accountability and without discussing it with your coach or somebody looking after that, then that's a different thing. Unless you really know what you're doing, having accountability means that you actually stick to the plan. That's what the strategy is. You have a plan or a recipe, you take 2 factors and you have an outcome. Now, with something like this, you most definitely need to have a coach's support to ensure that the agreed amount of time happens, right? And you have all the tools at your fingertips to ensure you stay the same weight, right? Imperative, right? As I said, how many days, how often you train, what you do with your food, that's all individual. There's no hard and fast rule. I've used an example. That's not the rule for everybody, because each individual person has their own kind of their own environments, their own stresses, their own amount of time, their own amount of energy they can give to something or not give over any period of time agreed. So that I cannot help you with. However, I can say again, please talk to us. That's what we're here for. If you're clients, if you're not clients, then contact us. We'll still help you. So in the meantime, recap. So recapping, I said I want to be clear, taking a break, right? I'm defining it as a period of time where you take a psychological step away from constantly trying to drive down your weight or having the focus of I must use a pound this week, I must use a pound this week. It is and can feel like an uphill battle for somebody. And actually what happens is, as a result of always trying to go uphill, is it becomes emotionally draining, if not physically draining, yes, but mainly what I see is emotional fatigue, like the constant frustrations if sometimes things don't go according to plan. Sometimes you just got to take a break, right? You got to give yourself a bit of a break, right? Because often, think about it, if you're your client watching, listening to this, and you've made a fantastic transformation already, always take a pause to appreciate that and actually enjoy the moment of what you can do now, what have you achieved already, and that's really important as well. So again, think tortoise, not hare. This isn't a sprint, and therefore it's okay to take a moment to breathe deeply, appreciate everything, like I said, you've had, and then move slowly forwards. And that means at a pace where we're not trying to get there as fast as humanly possible, and you staying sane, right? Always important. Again, it's always about understanding a break isn't reverting back to old behaviours. A break isn't going on a massive blowout or a bender over an unprescribed period of time where there is no end in sight. It's just what it is until you run out of blowout steam, whatever it is. The idea is that it is, again, it's a strategy, people. It's a strategy, and strategies have something in common, and that's almost a set of rules, or if it's a recipe, a step you would follow, or steps you would follow for the strategy to ensure that you get the outcome you're looking for, which is, for me as a coach, ideally to be staying at the same weight, right? So not gaining, losing, staying within a particular maintenance agreed amount again, okay? So it's specific to the individual. How long or how they approach it, what the specific steps are for the strategy is individual to each and every client for loads and loads of reasons, which is why I'm not going to give away the magical formula other than to say that, again, it's best to speak to your coach. It's fantastic for the reasons I already said, to restore mental clarity, motivation, whatever you want to call it, but also it's fantastic skill of learning how to actually maintain your weight and learn how to just pause, adjust your schedule, allow yourself to take a moment. Learning to maintain is as I said earlier, is a very difficult skill, and takes a lot of practice. The more practice you get along the journey, the more likely you are when you get to the goal, or whatever it is that is your health goal, the more likely you are to then sustain it for longer when you know how, right? You're not always going to want losing weight forever. I do say that to clients. Do you want to be losing weight forever? There were no left here. At some point, we need to learn how to maintain, and taking a break from your journey for an agreed amount of time, again, is fantastic for that. So yeah, taking a break is actually good for you. Who knew? Now tomorrow, by the way, firstly, I need to go shopping tonight. If that doesn't warn you, let's remember what happened last Friday. So last Friday was the chocolate spread. I'm just calling it the chocolate spread live now. Had a lot of feedback about that one. Mainly like, where did it go? I'm telling you now, it went in the bin. I don't even think that toast could handle how much chocolate spread was being ladled all over it by the end. If you've not seen that one or listened to that one, I think it's a watchable one, because I've tried to explain it all through visuals. That was quite difficult. Tomorrow there'll be more visuals, as it appears to be on Fridays now. Fridays appears to be a visual day, so I will have, I would say props. I will have props, of which we'll probably have to go in a bin again tomorrow. So if you want to tune in and see that, please do, because it's going to be an interesting one. Try not to make a mess this week like last week. In the meantime, as always, enjoy your evening, and I will catch you tomorrow.